putting Uomi for this specific word or phrase. That was nasty coming out from Blacklist International, ending the game without even waiting for the minion wave or even the next Lord. On the back of one team fight victory, they were able to break the base of Bren Esports. Welcome back to the Understand. My name is Midnight, and we are going to be breaking down as to how Blacklist pulled off this victory against Bren Esports. It started actually in the draft. Again, Blacklist, they needed to change things up. This time around, they banned out the Claude. Instead of going for the usual 3-ban setup and picking up the Paramis as their first pick, Bren Esports, they had no AoE answer against this lineup from Blacklist International. The Claude was purposely removed by Blacklist International so that it becomes a different pattern for Bren Esports. Even though Bren, they've gotten themselves still the key heroes here on their side, the Atlas and also the Bakito, to be able to provide the necessary team fight advantage against Blacklist International. It wasn't really enough. And for the majority of the game, they were trying to scour out for farm or resources on Kyle Easy. What I want to say about in this game is that it is the battle of Valentina and of course the Paramis. Remember the matchup, it is the Valentina versus the Paramis. This dynamic has been going around in MPL Philippines for 6 weeks now. So this is something that Blacklist needs to keep in mind because they are the ones playing the Paramis, and Bren Esports, they have their hands on the Valentina. The thing about this matchup is that both of their lineup will always look for fights. But Bren Esports, if they want to be able to clinch out the advantage against Blacklist International, they need to be able to copy the ultimate of the Paramis. Which then, if we have a moment later to discuss the late game conditions for Bren Esports, again, they needed to win fights, and they also have to get the copy of the Cult Altar on Few. Now, Blacklist International, again, this is a different answer altogether, as they've had a different pattern on the first phase, with the Paramis being picked and without any Lolita or Claude answering up from Bren Esports. Even though Ogwin still had his hands on the Atlas, it wasn't really enough. Because if you look at how Bren Esports take advantage of the early game, they cannot do that. They have an Atlas and they have a Link. These two heroes, although supposedly they could work with each other, but the early game momentum isn't really on their side. Super Marco will just be farming on the gold lane against the Melissa, and Pandora, as much as he wants to rotate, he has his own problems. And we saw that earlier when Edward solo killed Pandora on the bottom lane. He has his own problems to deal with. So Bren Esports, they were left without any solution to the early game presence of Blacklist International, which is something that we will see in the graph. The control from Blacklist was immense, and Bren Esports, for the majority of the game, they were trying to look for openings just to be able to farm up. It's not even about taking fights. It's not even about getting pickoffs. It's about trying to get some form of farm. Blacklist, they had control over everything from minute 0. All the turtles, it came their way, all the lords, and Bren Esports, up until such time that they cannot fight, they are just looking for ways to be able to farm on the map. But of course, there will come a time in this game wherein they can fight. That was the DHS timing from the Ling, and also the damage burst potential from the Clint after the Malefic Roar and Berserker's Fury pick up. That you can start seeing Bren Esports looking for fights. But again, we will have to go back to the conditions for both sides. Again, key factors here for both sides is the Paramis and the Valentina, which is going to be a critical factor coming into the next timestamp that we will be watching. Bren Esports, for the majority of the game, has been on the defensive mode, I would say. And the only way that they can fight into Bren Esports is if they manage to get the Cult Altar, to just ensure that they are on the same footing. But look at this. This is the sandwich play that Blacklist made, and Few was not in the position to be able to fight with his teammates. And Oh My Venus and Haji engaged onto Super Marco. Essentially, there were 2 fights going on here for Bren Esports, and this is not favorable for them because suddenly Few cannot save Super Marco, and Blacklist just had a fantastic time on taking out the gold laner of Bren Esports. After this, it was already a secured victory for Blacklist International as they made the call to finish out the game without even waiting for the minion waves. This time around, bring everyone. You don't need to have a Beatrix to have this fantastic damage to take out towers. You bring in numbers, and that is how Blacklist was able to get the game on the back of 4 heroes defending with their bodies and pushing out the base of Bren Esports. And I'm pretty sure it was a shot call made by the Queen himself. Oh my Venus with the Mathilda, 85% kill participation. I would say that this Mathilda really proved to be fatal to Bren Esports. This is not something that they would have expected. And the thing about the Mathilda combination is that it was perfectly lined up with a Barats pick coming out from Blacklist International. Essentially, everybody was on the defensive mode for the side of Bren Esports because the Barats and the other players are just playing aggressively for Blacklist because they know that they have the Mathilda. The Mathilda didn't even play defensive in this game. She was frontlining for Blacklist International and getting some pickoffs against Bren Esports. And it's really critical for us to realize that Blacklist, they did not pull any punches here against Bren Esports. Every single time that they can engage, the circling eagle was always there. And when it comes to saving his friends, you have the circling, you have the guiding wind coming out from the Mathilda, which allowed Blacklist to have this amazing tempo and aggression against Bren Esports. Because guess what? There's no answer. The best thing that Bren Esports can pull up in this game is a cult altar coming out from the Valentina into the Fatal Links follow-up from Ogren, but that did not happen because Blacklist was relentlessly pressuring Bren Esports into trying to look for farm, contesting resources, and 5v5 engagements were really limited in this game. Bren Esports, they didn't really get the chance to look for potential pickups or team fights in the mid game because the story for Kyle TZ and the gang was look for farm and ways to trade the map, which is something that is part of the keys to victory. That's why Bren Esports was able to hold on for so long, because every single move that Blacklist makes, there's always an impending trade coming out from Bren Esports. So they did a fantastic job on trying to limit the advantage that Blacklist can get. But at the end of the day, it has to come down to the team fights. I would say the DHS pickup is crucial for Kyle TZ, but it came in too late. The team fight wasn't really, on the wasn't really favorable for Bren Esports at that time already. And even then, if they manage to get themselves the items that they need, you still have to deal with the cult altar coming out from Haji. So there's a lot of things that Bren Esports need to address in this game. Again, it has to come down to the Foramis. So this is the thing that Bren Esports need to check. Now, Valentina is a decent answer against the Foramis because you get the advantage of playing with the Foramis for yourselves. So Bren Esports, it kind of feels like they don't have to worry about playing into the Foramis because they have their own version of the cult altar, which is really something that Bren Esports can take advantage of. But Blacklist International, again, time and time again, they weren't pulling any punches here. Once they see a team fight, it breaks out, they go for everything that they have. In this moment, Yu was able to salvage the fight for Bren Esports, but that was it. After that, it was Blacklist International dictating the tempo all around the map. The mercy was the Valentina, or the saving grace from Bren Esports, capitalizing on the positioning mistakes coming out from Bren Esports. Awesome stuff. Blacklist International, they've now shaken things up with the adjustment on the Claude ban, which was really nice, I would say. Coach Bonchan finally said that stop what you're doing, we'll get Paramis, but you're not going to get the Claude answered. So this is a new perspective with the new shade of black for the M3 champions. Let's see, whoever gets the victory on game number 3 will be able to move on from the past of the curse of the champions, and that we will definitely see on this last game for this series as we throw you over to our caster.
Actually, may katanungan ngayon na bumabagabag sa isip ko. Dalawang straight na araw na for Bren Esports na nababasagan sila ng base ng walang minions.
Oo nga, no? parang part na rin ng identity nila yun. No?
Kasi dumating kanina may onting gulatan pa. Tapos, ngayong araw, parang pinagplanuhan talaga. O sige, palit-palit tayo ng agro. Ikaw muna yung kumuha. Tapos, eto, pag nawala na immortality niya, ikaw naman yung sumalo. And a lot of things to consider dahil doon sa game number 2 na yon. Both of these teams have shown na kaya nila talunin yung isa't isa. But one of the main problems is masyadong dominating naman din yung ginawa ng Blacklist International to the point that tingin ko kailangan na maging wary ngayon ng side ng Bren Esports na huwag silang funnel ng banning
Yup.
sa isang tao lamang.
Kasi parang nangyari doon, since nilimit nga nila yung marksman or yung hero pool ni Oheb, nagkaroon ng question, ano pa yung pwede gamitin for blacklist? And yung mga moments kasi na yun, pagka nagalagay ka ng hindi mo usually nakikita na hero, parang hirap niyang kontrahen. And Bren during that moment wasn't really prepared for that millisecond.
And nagwo-wonder ka kasi, hindi dahil hindi mo alam. Nagwo-wonder ka kasi, parang ang dami talaga nilang pwedeng gamitin na pumapasok lahat yun sa utak mo. Tapos, nagkaka-jumble-jumble na kasi sobrang dami na talaga. And guys, katulad yan sinabi natin kanina, Blacklist is now an inch from the playoffs. The first ever team possible to actually secure their slot dun sa playoffs natin ngayong season 10.
Isang panalo na lang ang kailangan ng Blacklist para ma-secure yung spot na yon. And with this momentum, usually nga, pag nakukuha mo yung game number 2 win, parang mas malaking chance dahil kayo yung panalo eh. Parang itutuloy nyo na lang yung momentum na nakuha nyo doon sa win na yon. Pero kasi, yun nga eh, napag-uusapan nating mga draft, dito papasok yung mga adjustments na Bren Esports, pwedeng na-enlighten sila mula doon sa game 2 na ay, mali pala yung pinuntahan nating route. Balik tayo dun sa game 1 natin na mas naging effective tayo.
And I think it all comes down doon sa sinabi ni Coach Bon sa kanyang vlog na sinusubukan nila na ibalik
Mga aralin kasi na heroes, syempre kailangan nila i-take note kung ano ba yung bagay sa strategy nila. Yun yung kinagandahan ngayon ng MPL Season 10. Kasi may mga heroes na nakikita for Bren. Meron silang Kadita, meron din silang Kari now for Blacklist. Bago sa kanilang bag, like the ay ang Melissa. Sakto letter M in the bag. Ang nakikita natin ngayon for the side of Blacklist. At napakaganda nun kasi they are embracing their identity as a team. And to explain further kung bakit sila nakapag-secure by the way ng playoff spot, kasi yung mga bottom teams natin ngayon, yung highest possible points nila ay malayo na doon sa points na nakuha ng top 1 team natin.
Yeah. And
Sa rankings.
palong-palo ang ating mga audience ngayon. Kahit yung mga sponsors natin ay daladala na nila. Siyempre guys, dahil nga nasa game number 3 tayo, parang ramdam ko, Mac-delivery muna kayo eh. Kasi
sakto.
parang masarap kainin yan eh.
Mac-foods.
Mac-foods.
Mac-foods. Mac-food trips muna tayo. Diba?